Hello folks, welcome back to my collection room, which I like to call the 80s Toy Museum. And today we're going to be taking a look at some of my Transformers. Not this Transformer, that's an official Takara Encore reissue Fortress Maximus. We're going to be taking a look at some unofficial, not Transformers I should say, for legal reasons. These are all official Transformers by either Hasbro or Takara. Some originals, some reissues, Hasbro and Takara reissues. But what we're taking a look at today is courtesy of Good Brother Bill's Patreon special missions request. He asked to showcase some of my KO Transformers. KO stands for knockoff for folks who aren't hardcore into collecting. And about 20 years ago, KO meant you were going to get really, really cheap, really, really bad quality. And these days, what I'm seeing more and more is that the KO, or I prefer to call them third-party manufacturers, the quality is right up there with the official stuff, if not better than the official stuff sometimes. And they have the advantage of running in much smaller quantities. So as soon as you're mass producing something, there's going to be quality issues. So these smaller companies get to do a smaller run, they get to keep a closer eye on what they're working on, and a lot of the time the quality is a lot better, and also the customer service is a lot better too. I've heard stories about some of these third-party companies, something breaks, like Fans Toys, and sometimes they'll send you a replacement part free of charge just to take care of it. So the original definition of KO makes me think of things like this. A lot of the Transformers G1 Autobots were reissued, but a couple of them weren't. The molds were lost, and you had to rely on KO companies in China to reissue them. So Wheeljack is one of them, and a lot of the boxes in behind here are also KO reissue boxes with KO Transformers. So this is an official, I think, Takara reissue Ratchet. This is, I think, a Hasbro official reissue Inferno. The quality is great. It's almost right up there with the original. Good sturdy build to it. But a couple of the Autobots never got officially reissued. Wheeljack is one of them. And this is one of the crappier KOs that I have. It looks fine. It does the job, but I have another Wheeljack over here that's in robot mode. It's kind of like a cheap, floppy, fragile thing that you don't want to play around with too much. It just feels like it would very easily break. Sunstreaker is another one that never got reissued. Mold is lost. So he just kind of feels a lot cheaper than not just the original Transformers, but any reissue, official reissue Transformer. Looks okay in robot mode, but doesn't look so great in vehicle mode. For starters, it doesn't even roll all that well. The front of the car doesn't really align all that well. You have to see how floppy that is, and that was brand new out of the package. There was some kind of weird stress mark on the windshield right out of the package. So pretty cheap in terms of quality, not all that cheap in terms of price. Some of these KOs can actually go for quite a bit despite being not official and not up to the quality, or even close to being up to the quality of the originals. If you thought the original Mirage was a nightmare for his waist, wait till you get a load of the KO. It's even more fragile. So those, when I think of the term knockoff KO, that's what I think of my my cheap reissues of G1 Transformer Autobot cars. Also, these Dinobots are KOs, as well as the boxes in behind there. Boxes are actually really, really nice quality. Nice print quality to them, glossy. But the dinos themselves, feel quite a bit cheaper than the originals. It's still plastic, so I mean, you know, cheap plastic is not that far off from expensive, high quality plastic. It's not like you're talking the difference between titanium and aluminum. But still, these are noticeably cheaper. This is a really great example right here. This Snarl has this really loose, floppy leg. And it was like that right out of the package. So in terms of, and you can see how his head is flopping around too. This might happen with the original as well, but not so much right out of the package, brand new. So if you want to go with a unofficial KO reissue, then you have to accept that. That's part of what you're going to get. You can't expect official level quality from an unofficial toy manufacturer. But for today's request, I'm going to go through it's mostly Masterpiece that I collect. We go through what's official and what's third party. So starting on the top shelf right here, that is an official Bumblebee. This guy right here I believe is a Bad Cube. He's a, I can't remember all the names that the third party companies gave their guys. It's obviously Brawn. I can't remember if he was supposed to be called Brawny or something like that, but it's a Bad Cube guy. This guy, I'm not sure which company made him. I did review him a while back. That's another third party, also Huffer. Might have been another Bad Cube, or I think they were called Cubex before they changed their name to Bad Cube. And there's Gears. I remember doing a review for him some years back. It's another third party. Yeah, a lot of the mini-bots are actually third party Transformers. That's a third party Wind Charger right there. It's a third party Power Glide, and this is actually a knockoff of a knockoff, you could say. Because whatever company, third party company, did this guy, another company knocked it off. And this is the knockoff of the third party Power Glide. So the quality is a little less than that original one, but the price was so much lower because the price had gone really crazy high for that guy. There's a Bad Cube Warpath at the third party, and a third party Beachcomber. Come to think of it, this entire shelf of mini-bots is third party, except for Bumblebee. There's a third party Cosmos, made a little cameo appearance in the Crusader video, and a third party Sea Spray. And going down here, these guys are all official. Actually, this guy I believe is a knockoff of a Takara Masterpiece Sideswipe. So there's a period where the Takara Masterpieces were getting really, really expensive, and then you could find really cheap knockoffs of not just the G1 guys, but of the Masterpiece guys. So the quality is really low compared to the original Takara quality. So you are getting what you're paying for if you're going to get one of these cheap knockoff Masterpiece Transformers. And here's another infamous third-party Transformer. It's whoever made this, the version of Sunstreaker, and he's pretty much only good for display. He's pretty floppy and fragile feeling. And a fantastic third-party Jazz. There's been a whole bunch that have come out. This is one of the early ones that I grabbed years ago. And third-party Mirage. The third-party Trailbreaker. So for you real aficionados of third-party Transformers, if you want to drop a comment in there, and if you feel compelled to let everybody know what company made this and what name they gave him, you go right ahead. But to me, it's Hoist. And that's all I've been able to commit to memory. I can't commit who made all of these and what they named them as well. I'm just gonna stick with who it looks like. These are actually, again, the shelf is all third party except for Trax, which is unofficial Takara. It's a third party Skids, third party Hound. And I'll be honest with you, the funny thing about this shelf right here, the only official one is Trax, and he's the worst on the shelf. There's been a lot said about this particular Masterpiece Transformer. It looks okay, but it's pretty disappointing in terms of articulation, posability. And on this shelf, these guys are official. Oh, I got a whole shelf of official Takara Transformers right here. And then one down, this I believe is a KO of the Takara Masterpiece Inferno. And same deal with him as the other KO. He's not as high quality, feels a little more fragile. He's a little looser and floppier. But he looks nice sitting on a shelf there. And that's an official Prime. And on the Dinobot shelf, these are fans' toys. Masterpiece scaled Dinobots. They all have their own names as well, but they're humongous. And that's their version of Sludge and Slag. They all came with some different accessories too. I believe this one had a different head if you wanted to go with the black G1 head. This is the Canadian Slag look. I think this one was called Grimlock. I think he was the last one they released. And there's Snarl. And there's Swoop. This is a third-party Superion, which is just awesome. It's a combiner. All 5 of them separate. Can transform into jets. Can combine into Superion. This is a really cool part. So it's got voice clips and light up eyes. The voice clips are from the cartoon. And it's random. He seems to be stuck on this one line. Yeah, that's weird. Some of these are KOs. KO reissues of the original aerial bots, and they're pretty crappy. We've got a KO reissue of aerial bots over here as well. Really floppy. You can find gift sets on eBay, and just be warned, they look okay, but if you're going to play around with them, transform them, they're really fragile, really crappy. You are getting what you're paying for. Well, there's a Megatron, third-party Megatron Masterpiece sized guy in behind there. Terminus Giganticus, did a big review on him, gave him the voice of Andre the Giant in that one, but he is pretty spectacular. He's a little wobbly, but he's pretty impressive. And then this is DACA Toys Masterpiece sized Skyfire. I think the new official Takara Masterpiece puts it to shame. But then again, this guy was much cheaper than that. And this is a reproduction box, so I guess you could call that a KO as well. And I've got a couple shelves of Transformers over here as well. So this is one of the newer companies, maybe not new at this point, but they're new to me still. Fans Hobby. And they did some of the junior Headmasters, which look really cool. And there's Power Baser with his God Bomber armor attached. making him humongous. Took a look at him recently. It's Fans Toys Hannibal. Bears a striking resemblance to Cerebros, Fortress Maximus's head. And this is another third-party Omega. It's Gabriel by DX9, and he is fantastic. Humongous, really sturdy, really affordable. Much cheaper than Fans Toys Terminus. There's a few odds and ends in the G1 collection here. This is a third-party Fortress Maximus. I love this one because it's the same size as the G1 Headmaster Autobots. So that's right out of the comic book when they first arrive on Nebulos. They're all fairly similar in size. It's not until later that they supersize Fortress Maximus, who is wearing a third-party head. That's Perfect Effects Warden, and it plugs right in, fits in with the G1 Fortress Maximus, and a Perfect Effect Blaster, which is really vital for Fortress Maximus. The little blaster that he comes with is pretty weak. I've got a little remote LED light in there, which is really cool. It turns all sorts of different colors in there. But Warden came with a little Headmaster, so he's in there. And this is a KO of G1 Optimus Prime in white, and he's pretty crappy too. If you see those cheap Optimus Primes on eBay with a G1 Optimus box, they're really low quality. Pretty much just good for show. KO reissue of Reflector, really floppy and cheap quality, pretty fragile as well. And then over on the end here, I got a couple of more Masterpiece scale Transformers squeezed in. We've got the Headmasters on the bottom shelf, working on completing this collection. Make Toys, I believe, made these two guys, Hardhead and Chrome Dome. Fans Toys Hannibal in robot mode. Was lucky enough to pick up a second one on a crazy sale, flash sale I found online a little after I found the first one. And then there's Target Master Point Blank or Crosshairs. I can keep those two guys straight. That's a DX9 Rodimus Prime. And a third-party Springer that might be open and play or something like that. This is a really floppy third-party Ultra Magnus. It is not good. Citizen Stack, I think, is what it was called, but it is really like floppy and loose. KO reissue of Masterpiece Optimus Prime in white to look like Magnus without his armor. And this is, I think it's called Magic Square. It's an Optimus Prime. And Fans Hobbies Power Baser, which is their version of Power Master Optimus Prime. Complete with little Power Master engine, IQ there. So after they did the initial run, they reissued him. And I was able to grab this one on sale afterwards to have a second version of him. And you saw the first version of him earlier here, combined with the God Bomber armor. This is a humongous KO, upsized KO, of Masterpiece Grimlock. So the original Masterpiece Grimlock was a lot smaller than that, and one of the coolest things that companies do when they KO is instead of just a straight KO, when they upsize and correct the size. So this one goes perfectly with other Masterpiece Transformers. And a whole bunch of third-party Transformers here. I think these are all Keith's Fantasy Club. That I think is a KFC, Keith's Fantasy Club. That's Takara official third-party cup. Reviewed this guy quite a while ago. Fans Toys. Hoodlum. Looks great. And that's about it. KFC. There's quite a bit of Keith's Fantasy Club on this shelf. Rekgar. That's a third-party blur back there. That Springer back there is a recolor of this Springer. So another instance of a KO being KO'd. And a Fans Toys Tesla, which is not great. I believe they've done a second version of them, which is a good idea because the first one, other than looking pretty good, it doesn't pose very well. It's got some issues. And we move up here, and this fantastic third-party Shockwave. I love that one. I think it's much better than the official Takara Shockwave that they eventually did. And this is a KO of Takara's MP Megatron version 2. When that one came out, the price of it was just completely nuts. Too rich for my blood. And then a while later, somebody KO'd it. So once again, quality is nowhere near that of the original. It's so, like, the arm has absolutely no hold to it right there. It's just completely loose, brand new out of the box. But for just sitting there on a shelf with a bunch of other stuff, it does the trick. And that's a third-party Galvatron. That's a DX9 Galvatron. I think it's called Tyrant. And these are all third-party. Minions of Unicron right here. I think that's a Trans-X-Bots Scourge. Trans-X-Bots Cyclonus. And this is a fantastic Fans Toys Sovereign. It's funny how I can remember a few of these. The big characters. Galvatron, third party. And up here, that's an official Takara, but this is a third party Megatron, and I always really like the silver paint job on him. And these are official Seekers as well. So that is a look at my KO and third-party Transformers collection. Well, it's a bit of a medley of official and unofficial stuff. So thank you, Bill, for asking about that. It was cool to go through that and take a closer look and differentiate between what's official and what's reissue. Not only am I not a completist, but I'm also not picky about everything having to be official, especially from years and years of seeing unofficial stuff that looks so good. In many of the cases here, just because an official Takara Hound has come out, that doesn't mean I'm going to sell what I have and get the official one. I think this third-party one looks better than the official Takara Hound. I think this third-party Trailbreaker looks better than the official one. I keep seeing that happen. This third-party Masterpiece Grimlock is definitely better than the official Grimlock, which I have back here on the medley shelf, simply because that original Grimlock is just too small. It's before they changed the scales. So this one just scales better. And then for some of the other guys like Omega, they just haven't gotten around to doing a humongous masterpiece sized Omega Supreme. They might be. They might have hinted at a Titan sized or masterpiece Omega at the last PulseCon. But even if they do it, what's the quality going to be? And what's the price going to be? Well, there's one more shelf here. Most of this stuff is official. We just looked at this guy. These are Optimus Prime. It's my Prime collection. This right here is a third party, and it's upsized. of Masterpiece Optimus Prime. This is the original Masterpiece Prime, but this is a third-party trailer for him. So a third-party company, it might have been the company that became Fans Toys. I'm not sure. But they took the original G1 trailer and just upsized it and made it work with the first Masterpiece Prime. So I got these two guys side by side, and I just, again, love it when a good Transformer is upsized. That's a third-party Springer. Can't remember who makes it. It might be X-Transbots. And that is a third-party Junkion with Studio Series Retgar riding on him. He's actually perfectly sized for a Masterpiece bike. And then that's stuff's all official right there. A couple of third-party passengers on Ultra Magnus there. It's a third-party Wheelie and Cup and RC. That's a third-party Outback back there. Oh, there you go. Thanks a lot, Bill, for asking about that. And thanks to the rest of the Patreon tribe for being part of the Patreon tribe. Hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough of the collection. And take care. Till next time, good night, good luck, God bless, and Nerdmas Day.